right, so we're just gonna make a quick video on placing a suture. So I'm using my needle holder to grab a hold of my needle. Typically want to grab it about 2/3 of the way down the needle. If I have it too close to the edge of the needle, I'm not gonna have enough space to be able to get that needle into my tissue. I wanna make sure I'm holding my needle holder appropriately. So I have my thumb in one hole and my ring finger typically in the other hole. And then I have my pointer finger out on the driving part of the instrument in order to help stabilize my technique. I am going to use some thumb forceps in order to be able to handle and grab the tissue. All right, so I'm going to enter one side of the incision with my needle, and then I'm going to let go and pull it the rest of the way in. I don't want to try and force that needle all the way through without repositioning because I'm more likely to bend my needle. Then I'm going to enter the other side of the incision, and I want to try to exit out the skin the same distance that I went in on the opposite side. So I have even distance, entry and exit on either side of the incision or wound. I pull that the rest of the way through. I want to leave enough of a tail at the end so I have something to grab for my knot. I am always going to place my instrument inside the suture, right? So in between the end and the rest of it, I am not putting my instrument outside of the suture. It's always inside. So on the first knot, I'm always going to start with 2 throws minimum. In some situations, the surgeon may opt for additional throws, but for our purposes, we're going to do 2. And then I grab the end, the tail of the suture. Notice the tail of the suture is on the right side of my incision, so that means I'm going to be pulling it the opposite direction towards the left. And I pull the other part of my suture the opposite direction. Now I don't want to make this too tight, so notice I'm not pulling this so tight that it's bringing the skin up against each other. All right, sutures often are placed too tight and we have to allow some room for swelling. I'm going to put my instrument again back in the middle. And depending on what I'm suturing, I may want to do 1 throw or 2 throws. That often comes down to, is this a high movement area or not, and what type of tissue we're working on. So I'm going to act like I'm working on a ventral abdomen where I don't have a lot of movement, and I don't need as many throws. So I'm just going to do 1 this time, again grabbing the end, and I'm going to pull the end the opposite direction of where it was facing. I'm going to do 1 more in the middle, grab it, and again pull the opposite direction. Notice I'm not pulling up and down. I'm not pulling the same direction as the incision. I'm pulling perpendicular to the incision. And then I'm going to cut it. I'm going to leave enough of a tail on both ends so that we can grab it when it comes time to removing it. And I want to make sure that my knot is off to the side, that it's not right on top of the incision line. So when that swells, it doesn't wind up with the knot being embedded into the swelling of the tissue. Okay? I'm going to do 1 more without talking so much. All right. So I'm going to use my needle holder, grab the end of my needle, use my forceps to grab the skin. I go in one side, let go, pull it the rest of the way through, grab it again, go through the opposite side, re-grab it, pull it through. In between, 2 throws, grab it, pull opposite direction. Oops, grab it again. 1, 2, grab it, opposite direction. In the middle, 1, opposite direction. In the middle, grab it, opposite direction. There we go. Cut it, and make sure that my knot is off to the side. So I want them all to be facing the same way. So I'm putting them all on the left side of my incision. And as you can see, it's not pulled super tight on itself. I do have a little bit of room to allow for that swelling. And that's it.